Hey everyone, it's Laurel here today. Thanks for joining me. Full disclosure, I made both of these cards at the same time, kind of taking turns setting things aside to dry. So this video is a little bit different than my normal videos. So I'm kind of going to be bouncing back and forth between both these cards. So I love these cards. The one to the left is a new technique I tried inspired by Jill Foster. And I'm going to show you how I did that and then show you how I made the other card. And both cards are using this stamp set by Art-Kure. It's a fantastic line that Crafter's Companion carries. And I pretty much own the entire line. I love them for watercoloring. It is so much fun. So the first technique here is actually taking some of that gel medium by Design Memory Craft, Faber-Castell, and I'm actually painting on the glue. It's basically glue. And I'm painting on the gel medium onto the stamp here. Now, a stamp that's got a lot of detail and solid spaces will work best for this technique. A stamp that's mostly hollow and stuff won't work as well. But I've painted on the glue there, and then I'm going to stamp it down directly onto my cardstock. Now I'm going to be working with Tim Holtz watercolor paper for both of my cards today. I'm not going to be doing any water with this particular card, but I liked the texture and the thickness of the watercolor paper. So I'm giving it some really good pressure. I've never done this before. I'm trying it for the first time on video here. I just was so inspired by Jill. So I've gone ahead and stamped that, and I've set that off to the side to dry. And then meanwhile, I'm going to work on the second card. My head's going to get in the way. I'm very, very sorry. So I'm taking two different color distress ink markers. I cannot remember what this brown is. God, my head. Get out of the way, Laurel. Sorry about that. But I'm going in and just making sure that my stamp has complete coverage. That's peacock feathers, surprise, surprise. And I'm going in and just basically coloring directly onto the stamp with these distress markers. Now I chose distress markers because they react with water. And I'm going to give my stamp a good spritz. This is some Perfect Pearls mixture, but regular water will work. I give it 3 or 4 spritzes. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab an acrylic block, which I failed to do ahead of time, and make sure I stamp that down. And when you lift, you're done. Look how pretty that is. I just find that so pretty. You can add more color, less color, just do whatever you want. The water does all the work for you. All right, so now we're back over here to the other card. The gel medium is now dried up, and I'm ready to go ahead and move forward with this particular card. So I've gone ahead and taken 3 different gelatos. I'm going to add a 4th here soon. And I am just going over the image and the card base. And I'm blending with my fingers. Gelatos react with the moisture, so they're actually reacting with the oils in my finger, but I've got a little cup of water over there to the right that I'm also dipping my finger in periodically too, and my finger dries out. So you can start to see that ghost imaging shining through underneath. I'm taking a wet wipe and kind of pulling up some of that color, and it ends up pulling up a lot of the color around the image as well. So I'm going to go back in and add some more color in. But look, that gel medium resists the gelatos, and it creates this very ghost-like image, almost looking like it's set far off in the background. So I think it's so neat. So I'm going in and adding this blue to kind of finish it off there. And then I'm going to go in and kind of blend things around with my wet wipes and just play around. I'm going to add some more red and some of that orange because, again, when I did use the wet wipe, it pulled off more color than I had wanted. And then I'm going to carefully go over it, go over the image with my finger just to make sure. I just love it. We're going to go ahead and pull the card together here. So this image is all nice and dry. I'm taking the word dies from the Type It 2 creative cut line there because I love the words on there, and I'm going to put them on the sticky part of the painter's tape because I'm going to do some heat embossing and I need the tape to kind of hold the die cut in place. So this is some Versamark ink, which is just a sticky ink, and I'm going to be using this Wow embossing powder here, and I tried it once and I loved it, so it's earned a spot in its own little container here. So I'm sprinkling on the embossing powder there, and then I'm going to go ahead and heat set it. And I just love the sparkle, the very subtle sparkle that it leaves behind after it's heat embossed. And I just think, I think it was Jennifer McGuire I saw, whoever had the idea of using the Post-it or the sticky tape for this is brilliant, and I can't believe I didn't think of it myself. But anyway, moving on. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere that love down. Now you've seen me use a lot of the multi-matte medium in the little small tubes. Well, I went ahead and got a big tub of it because I use it so much. I like it because when it dries, it's matte. You can't even see it. Whereas some other things, if it dries, you've got all the shiny stuff kind of peeking through, and I don't like that. With this, it doesn't matter if it goops out the side or whatever because it dries completely clear. So I'm taking a paintbrush and just painting on this glue here, and then we are good. And it's a very strong adhesive, so it will stay in place. So it was definitely worth the investment for me because I use it so much. I use it to adhere all of my die cuts, and if I ever do use sequins, which I totally stink at adhering, I would use that as well. So now it's time to finish off the card. Isn't that tree just pretty? That is so cool to me. So I decided to give it some black flicks of water. So I've got some black soot distress ink there, and I added a little bit of water, and I'm just going to flick on the water flicks all randomly around the card base there. Now you notice some of it gets onto my tree. Well, because that's the gel medium that we put down, I can just wipe that right away with my finger. See? All gone. So I just love that. I love that technique. I am so glad that I saw Joy Taylor do that. It's fantastic. So now we're going to move on to the other card there and kind of finish that up. And this is a finished look of the card. I'm going to do some more heat embossing with the die cuts from the same Mama Elephant die set there. This time we're going to use a different embossing powder. I'm going to use Enchanted Gold by Ranger. It's a very, very pretty gold, but not like gold. I don't honestly care for gold. I don't wear gold jewelry or anything like that. I don't like gold. I'd like it if it was gold bars, like money, but as far as like gold, I don't really like it. But this is like a buttery yellow. It's so pretty. So I definitely love that, and it too has earned a place in its own little container. So I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle that onto the die cut. I'm doing the XOXO and then the little heart. All that comes in the same set there. All the supplies and exact colors and everything's going to be linked below in the YouTube description as well as over on my blog. I'm going to go ahead and give it a second coating because I think I missed a couple spots when I was inking it up the first time. So this is getting a double hit of that embossing powder. It's just so pretty. And I finally thought to use my brains and grab some tweezers so I don't burn myself when I'm heat setting these things. Sometimes I amaze myself at how I function throughout the day. So this is a vintage photo distress marker. I don't know why I held that up right then. I have no earthly idea. Maybe I thought I was going to do something and change my mind. But anyway, so now I'm going to go ahead and apply that multi-matte medium again to the back of that die cut. I decided that I wanted it down at the bottom, not at the top. And I'm going to do the same thing with the heart. And then I wanted the card base to kind of coordinate with the front of the card panel there. So see around the edges there? That's actually that Enchanted Gold embossing powder. So all I did was take my card base and go around the edges of the card with my Versamark ink pad. And then I'm going to sprinkle on the Enchanted Gold embossing powder and then heat set it. And now I have a border for my card that matches the front panel, the embossing on the front panel. That's a great way to stretch your embossing powders and kind of color coordinate your project. So once I heat set that, isn't that pretty? I just really, 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 really love this color. Anyway, moving on. Once I'm done with that, I can go ahead and adhere that down to my card base. Now, I don't throw anything away, so when you see me apply the adhesive to the back of my card, you're going to see yeah, I didn't like how I watercolored that, so I set that aside because I knew I could reuse this on the other side. So you got to see a little sneaky of me reusing something. Now I'm going to go in and add a little puffy sunshine up to that card, and that card is done. And then going back to the other card, I'm simply going to adhere that down to a gray card base there in the middle, and then I'll have some of the gray showing on both sides of the card panel there for a little border. So that is it. I'm cutting off the excess here, by the way. So I know this video jumped around between two cards, but I had a lot of drawing to do, and I always have a limited amount of time with my daughter. So anyway, here are the finished cards. I love that I used the same stamp, and I got two totally different looks, both clean and simple, but both different looks with the techniques. And I love painting on with that gel medium, that ghost stamping with the Faber-Castell gel medium. I think that's brilliant. Thank you, Joy. So thanks, guys, so much for watching, and I will catch you guys for another video sometime soon.